What's going on, everybody? My name is Terminus, and today we are gonna take a look at Bocchi the Rock episode 5? 5? Yeah, I think it's 5. We just had 4. We finished with a very interesting rather a very important development on the Bocchi front, which is her actually making her way to writing some proper lyrics and we're learning a little bit something about authenticity, right? Functioning in ways that, doing things in ways that feel true to yourself, because there's something to be said about trying to adjust things in a way that fit better to the person it's intended for. In this case, 𝐏𝐢𝐏, who would be singing all of this. But would it reflect the actual reality of the band? And that would be the question. Wouldn't it be better if 𝐏𝐢𝐏 actually wanted to sing a song that is specifically for her? She would write it herself, or at the very least, we would make enough progress to get to the point where we can empathize with somebody else without actually overdoing it. Because you know that Bocchi has a tendency to overdo things, to overthink them, and sometimes then the things actually don't come out the way they're supposed to come out. Also, there's this thing about, and this is also something we do in therapy as well, where we look at authenticity in the way that you, as the therapist, for example, it's a big part, it's a big element that you are being authentic with yourself, that you and with the client, because this is a thing that kind of creates a level of I don't know, I don't want to say truth, because truth subjectively doesn't exist, but a level of genuineness between you and another person. And in the case of Bocchi, in the case of the band, it would be between the audience and the person actually writing the songs. And well, there could be an argument to be made for actually the person singing them also having to be authentic. So you need that connection. You need to be within that realm of actually the person who is supposed to sing it also being able to understand it, to feel it, to actually connect there. And the thing that 𝐕𝐬 actually said in the last episode made me kind of think that maybe this could be a problem, because 𝐕𝐬 said, you're not going to be able to reach a lot of people with this, but the ones you reach, you will impact a lot, right? You will connect with them very deeply. The question is, would 𝐏𝐢𝐏 be one of the people that Bocchi with her lyrics could actually reach? But this is where their relationship can kind of tie in, right? This is where 𝐏𝐢𝐏 actually being familiar with the person who wrote the lyrics can enhance this experience of actually feeling the same things and empathizing and actually really being within that mind frame. Because I do know that, and this is more like personal conjecture and personal experience, that even if you haven't felt something specifically, you can kind of project yourself into this situation and think, what would I feel if I experienced this and that, or if I went through this and that, and what mind frame is the writer actually in? I mean, there's a whole science for this, right? Reading texts and trying to interpret intent out of that, and right, you do that a lot in your native language lessons in school, where you're trying to read poems or books and try to interpret what exactly the person who wrote these works of art actually meant with it, right? What the expressions that they used, what they are trying to evoke, and how you can feel yourself into the mindset of the person creating it. Yeah, very, very cool step, because we do have our team now. We do have our party of 4. We do have our not our music, right? We don't know yet in which capacity 𝐕𝐬 was actually able to do the music, but we do know Bocchi has written the song. And then 𝐕𝐬 with her music can actually kind of get herself into the mood, because obviously those two things are not done in isolation. So since it was mostly dependent on Bocchi to actually write the lyrics and create a good song, now the understanding between Rio and Bocchi are actually gonna have a really good effect, that in the sense that Rio will be able to properly write a song, write instrumental lyrics that fit the mindset of what these songs are about. So this is an element. I do wonder if this is gonna come this episode, and if we're gonna delve deeper into Rio, because we already had a little bit of insight into her. So far, the only person we have not really explored in her, like, at the very least in terms of like the mindset and the backstory and whatnot, is 𝐏𝐢𝐏𝐿, because we did have Bocchi, obviously our main character, who we getting deeper and deeper into her mindset. We did have, to a degree, 𝐏𝐢𝐏 with her whole kerfuffle and her starting out in a band because she's really into Rio, and then kind of lying about not being able to play an instrument, and then fleeing from all of this, and then redeeming herself basically, and joining back up, and actually being forgiven. But she's speaking up, being like, hey, we need you, right? I feel you with what you've been experiencing and whatnot, and I can empathize with that. I want you to be part of us, and that is a great step, obviously. But we have already seen how 𝐏𝐢𝐏 is, on the one hand, very, very extroverted, of course, and very, very much a people person, but also people pleaser in a way, which can have its own problems when it comes to social interactions. Also a tryhard, very much a tryhard, which is very cool, but also will put a lot of mental stress on her personally in her struggle moments, probably. And we have found out a little bit something about Rio, who is cool and calm and collected, pretty much like the 𝐢𝐏𝐬𝐏 stereotype, but also the bassist. I would imagine that would be like the typical stereotype for what a bassist is in any band. More and more on the low-key side, understanding art and being really specific and eccentric in some ways, but she is genuine, right? She loves authenticity. She is somebody who loves the little niche groups, right? And who wasn't a big fan of, for example, her old band going more and more mainstream and just trying to appeal to a crowd instead of being themselves, which is a very important part about her. And then, one thing I'm trying to make a transition, but it doesn't work for some reason. But anyway, one last thing I wanted to talk about is some comments I've been getting from a couple of people on the first or second Bocchi video. I think it was both of those, where we did kind of have a little bit of an insight on introvertedness and extrovertedness. I think it's very interesting and very true that introverts are often seen as kind of having a social deficit, and that might be true for many introverts, but it's not the whole story, right? Being introverted isn't just I want to be alone, right? Or I can't with other people, or I can't empathize with other people, right? There's the stereotype that is kind of adjacent to what you would maybe think somebody who is autistic or right on the spectrum or some other form of neurodivergent would be. But introverts are oftentimes also like Bocchi, for example, who is very much too much in her head and thinking too much about other people and putting herself down too much, right? We see that from the first moment on, when she's like, am I, right? Do I really deserve to be in there, right? What, and her having problems in that regard, and her constantly throughout the story now putting herself down, being like, what do other people think about me, right? Oh no, I made somebody else feel bad, right? Or I embarrassed them or whatever. We always have these moments. They're very comical because I think in a way it connects to us as an audience, because everybody, like every one of us has had these moments where we are in too deep, where we think about, oh shit, I've kind of offended someone or embarrassed them, or I've come across as arrogant, or I've seemed like, right, what do people think about me? Do they think that I'm weird? Do they Do they vibe with me? Especially, it's sometimes other people are making it easy for you to like them and to feel comfortable around them, but there's also people who can't do it that much, and then you feel like you're not getting you're not getting anything properly back, and you feel like you're not vibing with the person. Like, is it me? Is it them? Right? There's a lot of things going into that, and for Bocchi, this is just spinning in her head all the time. So for her, she does have the desire to be popular. She does have the desire to be in a friend crowd, to spend time with people, to live through all of these experiences that the teenager is actually trying to experience, right? Peer groups, making friends, having fun. But her own head, her own anxiety, right? Her own like self-consciousness is getting in the way, and she doesn't have any experience with people her age. She doesn't have any experience with people most experience with people in general outside of her own immediate family. Maybe her teachers here and there, and that's making it very hard for her. A second comment I have gotten is actually this joke. I think in the first episode it was, oh no, it was the second episode where we talked about the 1,000 steps, and there seems to be a little bit something about like. The person talking about it said it might have been lost in translation because the way it is put down in Japanese, right? The way it sounds in Japanese, it sounds more like Bocchi already made the 1,000 steps in her head and was kind of, right, having that expectations, I'm already this far. And in reality, it was just one step, right? Which kind of exemplifies and shows this whole thing about Bocchi being putting goals out there that are way beyond of what she can immediately reach, right? It's not something, but obviously it is something she could very well reach at some point in time if she's lucky, if she's giving it her all, if the right circumstances fall together, right? With her, like, I'm being famous and being interviewed, right? Being on a talk show, whatever. That's her headcanon, being doing a full concert, or these are things that are possible, but she's already this far, right, in her own head and fantasizing, daydreaming about it. But then the reality check sets in, and she's like, "Holy shit, holy shit, I'm way too far in my head, and I just made that tiny little step." Because this is actually something you would tell somebody who is who wants to reach a grander goal, right? Who wants to get to a point where they see themselves in 5 years and 10 years. It's good to have that big goal, right? But if you set only that big goal and you're not gonna separate it into a lot of little steps that will get you there, then it's very hard to reach that goal because it's so big, it's so far away, it's so vague, right? You don't have any concrete steps to get to it, which is a recipe for actually for not fulfilling that goal, because you're never gonna really know how to start, how to approach it. I say the same to people who are very stressed, right? In phases, say the same to myself, right? If I'm very stressed in a very difficult phase in my life, I'm putting myself down. I'm not putting myself down. I'm sitting myself down and saying, look, you have like 50 things or 15 things that you need to do right now, and they're all important. But how about you pick out the most important thing, right? You think, right? And it doesn't have to be like a clear hierarchy or whatever. It's just one of the more important things. You pick them out, right? Something you don't take like months to do, but something that is relatively done in a relatively short time frame, but something that is important. And you do that one thing. And once you're done with that, you do the next thing, right? And it can be maybe a little bit bigger, but or take a little bit longer. But it's also one of the priorities. You do the next thing, you do the next thing, you do the next thing. The thing is, you get the ball rolling, and once you have that momentum, and people have been experienced that, I can't cite any studies on that, but I do know that a lot of people who have been trying these things themselves, they have experience that once they've got the ball rolling, they were actually able to do the things that they wanted to do way more efficiently, right? Once you have one thing done, you do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Obviously, if you get interrupted, right, in your structure, in your order, whatever, right, something bigger interrupts you, there's the problem that then you have to get the ball rolling once again. And that's not easy. But the more you do, right, step by step, the more you compartmentalize it into little baby steps that you're doing. I mean, there's a reason why we're saying baby steps, right? Because this is how a baby learns to walk, right? There's one step and then the baby falls on his ass, but it's fine, right? Because we're kind of making sure they're not falling too hard, and we're making sure to help them to get back up again. And I think this is what our social support networks are often doing. And I think that this is also what Bocchi's family, and in this case now Nichika and Rio and everybody else and Bocchi's friends are going to be able to do for them, and they're going to be able to do for Bocchi, and they're going to be able to do a lot more for Bocchi, because one thing they also can do is to accept her the way they are, and they're already doing that. You see that often, right? She's glitching out, she's completely in her own head, anxiety, and they're like, oi, Earth to Bocchi, Earth, hey, hello, come back, all right? It's fine. It's fine. We're not going to put that right. We're going to pull back the pressure. We're going to pull back the pressure. You don't have to do anything, all right? Just a tiny little thing, right? And then we're done. I promise. But when she can handle it again, they're going to put that pressure on again, right? And they're going to demand that, but only insofar as Bocchi can actually handle it. And the very important thing is that they don't shun her for it. They don't say, I don't like that you haven't done that, or oh, come on, right? I'm gonna kick your ass. No. They're gonna be like, all right, that's just how she is. Okay, let's relax, right? You can do that. I believe in you. And this is the best you can do, right? Unconditional acceptance of somebody, which is something not everybody gets, and which is something a lot of people who have problems when they are grown up, right? Not all people, mind you, right? There's a plethora of things that can happen that make you fucked up, to be honest, or have issues. But a lot of people that have issues later on, they haven't been accepted unconditionally, right? There's always been some condition. If you behave like this, we're gonna like you, we're gonna love you, right? And then the thing that the person learns when they grow up is, I'm only gonna be liked if I'm a certain way. And this is a bad experience to make, because in the end, like, there's a lot of tiny little things about ourselves. Maybe that we are a little bit too much, that we have a little bit too much of a sweet tooth, that we're getting a little bit fat, or that we're not ambitious enough, that we're a little bit lazy here and there, or that we're a little bit selfish in some ways, right? Back in the day, right, especially like a couple of decades ago, it was big, like for women with sexual things, right, that they felt guilty about these things, and then you do have that line of thinking, right? If I am thinking these things, having these desires, whatever they may be, this is bad, I'm bad, right? And that bridge between the thing I'm doing is bad and I'm bad, that is the thing we need to kind of cut, because we need to get to a place where we accept, or where we understand that the person we are is not necessarily just our actions. Because we can judge our actions as being nothing, right? Being not good, being not morally right, or being not good for our health or whatever. But the transference of that onto, because my actions are bad, I am bad, shouldn't be a direct, like, causal link. Obviously, there's a correlation, right? If I am doing a lot of malicious stuff due to, right, out of malicious intent or whatever, I have to maybe take a good look at myself and kind of accept that I want to change. But I also have to accept that this is the person I am right now, but that this is not the person I always will be, right? It is not tied intrinsically to the person I am. It is something that is my behavior that I can change if I do have the desire to do so. But to get there, I need to understand that there are people in my life who accept me for who I am, who accept and love me unconditionally. And that is a very hard thing. And that is a thing that not everybody learns growing up. That's why it's very important. But yeah, we do see a lot that Bocchi is thinking about other people. And interestingly enough, it is not her own desires, often enough. It's not her own desires that motivate her to take these steps, to break these barriers that she's put up for herself. But it is other people, right? We do have that in the second episode. We do have that in the second episode where she's working for the first time. And the reason why she actually managed to serve that one customer, that lady that was very amused about her being so nervous, was that Nichika was like, I really love this place. I want everyone to love this place. And then she's like, well, if I stay the way I am, right, I'm only gonna make it, right? I'm gonna disappoint Nichika. I'm gonna make this a place that people are kind of feeling weird about, maybe, right? And not everybody's gonna like. And that motivated her enough to do something for another person, to actually get over her anxiety and take that first step. And that was a very important moment for her. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. As if you're new to this, first of all, maybe start with episode 1 if you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But there's a pip in the description down below. It's gonna be that way, at least for Bocchi. I don't know if it's gonna be that way after that, so I'll have to see how that develops. It's not very good for watch time and whatnot. We'll see, right? There's a pip in the description down below. If not, there's the edited reaction right here if you want to see that one. Check out all my social links in the description down below, right? Support me any way you feel you want to or can. And let's get into the episode. Alright, Bocchi the Rock episode 5 starts in a 3, a 2, a 1. Good story. I know Rio was gonna be happy about that. She's using the chan. Oh, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Oh no, I wanted to hear it. What do you... Yeah, it's very expensive. Oh no. Oh no, this is not good. She's trying to get out of it already. Those are places where a lot of people are. Oh, cool. Inspiration. Now she connected. I knew this was gonna come. Ooh, are we going into Nichika? Wait, pause. No, I didn't mean that. Oh, they're supposed to do it somewhere else, maybe. Learning experience, right? That might be, that's my guess. This is a nice thing about things like this. I don't exactly know what will happen. There's so many possibilities of what we can do with this. It's almost like a slice of life, but good. Ooh, orange. Flightless fish.
もできたのに。
それはこっちに関係ない。
集客できなかった時のノルマなら払えるよ。
お金の問題じゃなくて実力の問題。
Ooh, okay.
出してくれたじゃん。
あれは思い出作りのために特別にな。普段はデモ音源審査とかしてんの。知ってんだろ？
そうだけど。
悪いけど、5月のライブみたいなクオリティなら出せないから。じゃあ
私たちは
一生仲間内で仲良しクラブやっとけ。
Oh, that is harsh. I wonder if she does have some intention behind that.
ぬいぐるみってこのヨレヨレのパンダとウサギのこと？あら可愛い。
その画像消せ。今す。
But she doesn't know what. I love how they smear this one. Holy shit. Ah, I gotta make something happen, I guess.
待って、ぼちちゃん。
But she's gonna let her play, or?
わかりやすくすねてる。うっさい。でもあんな言い方しなくてもさ。
I mean, I agree with her.
ぼっちちゃん。
Holy shit, she aged like 10 years.
ぼっちちゃんまず息しよう。はい、ぼっちちゃん。
She's taking some shot.
落ち着いた？はい。店長さんがさっき言ってました。
ライブに出たいならまずオーディション。
Ooh, okay, I mean, that's fair.
日に演奏見て決めるからって。え？何してんの？
精一杯副中心を表現しようと。
She's like a dog.
追いかけないと見失うんじゃないの
？And of course, she took a photo of that.
戦闘的なサインを表してる説あるらしいよ。両先輩物知り。
I haven't heard that before, but alright.
オーディション。それに合格したらライブに出られるってことね。
I mean, that's fair.
なら最初からそう言えばいいのに。でもじゃああとは頑張るだけですもんね。あ、そうだね。この二人が一番不安なんだけどって顔してる。
Are they though?
どこから当てぶりの練習だけしっかりしてくるように。はい。
Um,
じゃないんだよ。
I was about to say.
今回は頑張らなくても。ヘタッピでも頑張れば熱意は伝わるって。ヘタッピ。ごめん。でも二人とも最初より全然上手くなってるし。ね、りょう。ちょっとフォローして。ぼっちちゃん。土管の中引きこもらないで。
She's reverting help. SOS.
ぼっち節が響いて。あれ？私はともかく下手？前学校で聞いたときは素人の私でもうまいって思えたのに。
Yeah, that's what I was saying, and I think like the sister also got that. So are they the problem?
全員両並みに演奏できるようになってることを求めてるわけじゃないと思うし。じゃあ何を求めて？熱量？バンドとしての
Growth is important, but I think she's just giving them the same chance as everybody else, right? Because obviously you can't rely on nepotism all the time. That's not how they're gonna learn it.
でも薄暗いところじゃなくて教室で練習した方が。
You don't understand.
みんななんで北さんみたいな子があんなことをって練習どころじゃ。そうか。
Don't think this is what I love what they did just though.
いい方に解釈してくれた。優しい。私ね、あれから考えてみたんだけど、バンドとしての成長ってつまり頑張ってることが伝わればいいと思うの。その時に心から頑張ったって言えるように後悔
I mean, that's a good mentality.
だからオーディションの日までお付き合いよろしくお願いします。こちらこそよろしくお願いします。何その髪型。
What the fucking hell? Did they turn into a Korean boy band?
成長を見た目で表現だそうです。やっぱり了か。飲酒、喫煙、女遊び、そして髪型をキノコヘア。それがバンドマン。イメージがコテコテすぎる。はい、キノコ。
How did they do that?
そんな枠結構です。私、女遊び無理です。私と遊んでくれる女の人がいません。
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Don't worry, Bocchi, a lot of women would dally with you.
って目に見えないし、判断基準ぼんやりしてるし。はっきりしてるよ。とにかくお姉ちゃんを納得させればいいんだから。練習あるのみ。りょうさんの言うことにちょっと
Wigs, obviously. Wigs, of course.
成長って正直なところよくわからない。
Yeah, and it's very subjective.
努力とはまた違う気もす
Ouch.
る。ここ最近本当に激動だった。
Yeah, it has.
バイトを始めた。人の目がたまに見れるようになった。
I mean, that's growth, right?
だいぶ。でも、それはバンドとしての成長ではない気がする。としてのスタートラインにやっと
You're too hard on yourself. That's growth already.
せっかく夢だったバンドをやれてるのに、成長した気になってただけで、私は。よし、今日はここまでにしようか。もうですか？うん。明日のオーディションに備えて、ゆっくり休んでね。お疲れ。お疲れ様です。
What's going on inside of her? We have a heart to heart here.
驚かせちゃって。いえ。コーラでいい？はいありがとうございます。もし、私に付き合わせちゃったりしてたら、ごめんね。いや、ほら、ぼっちちゃんが結束バンド入ってくれたのって、その場の成り行きだったでしょ？あの時、ずっとバンドやりたかったって言ってたけど、そういえば私、ぼっちちゃんがどんなバンドしたいのために今バンドしてるとか聞いたことなかったなって。ちやほやされたくて始めたって正直に言うべきだろうか。人によってそういうのそれぞれじゃない？
I don't think she needs to know, but...
に出るのが全てじゃないし、知ってもらうのも今は配信とか方法はいろいろだし。
Yeah, of course.
私はさ、目標っていうか夢があるから、だからつい熱くなりすぎるっていうか。
And she wants to make sure everybody's...
させちゃってたりするかなとか。そんな全然無理。
Everybody's on point and doesn't feel pressured.
ならよかった。
Very considerate of her. Self-reflective, kind of.
売れて武道館ライブですよね。本当の夢はその先にあるんだけど。でも、まだぼっちちゃんには秘密だよ。じゃあ、明日よろしくね。
I do love the animation here, it's really cool. Yeah, I mean, just making sure that everybody's alright, especially 𝐏𝐢𝐏 in this case, because she is very anxious about things and very pressurable on a social level. I think that's important as well, right? Before a big event and everything, you need to make that sure that everybody is doing fine. And this is a big thing. Ooh, is this the first original song that we're gonna do?
今も人気になってちやほやされたいっていうのは変わりない。でもそれは私だけじゃない。
Yeah, and this is her motivator, right?
この4人でだ。
I love how we're making like a big event out of this, a big moment. Is this really Kita's voice actress singing that? If so, then holy shit, she got range. And she's singing about her experience with all of this. And he was stepping it up. And obviously the two of them are in sync, right? I love that, like that little exchange Point of view shot. Wow. Really cool. Alright. What does the judge say? Hmm. I mean, you didn't say you're in. But he's not saying it. Dun, 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 dun. And this is gonna strengthen that connection too. I mean, in general, but... Nice picture. I can't imagine it. This is real footage, what the fuck? We'll be right back. Alright, cool. It was all just a dream. Of course you did, Rio. Hmm. I mean, time to spur that on, right? Oh, is she gonna talk to her about it? But this might make her anxious. Be more straightforward with her, holy shit. I mean, of course. I was testing them. Alright, next song. You're gonna get there. I'm just waiting for the punchline. Where do you find five? Oh no! Look at this. A dog can't pay money. Yes. It's over, you could say. And I was right. It was a different ED. Yeah, I don't know. It was a different ED, holy shit. Wonder if we get another one, or if this is like... This is it with the switches. The Godzilla. A reflection in the puddle. Nice. And with the rain coming down, right? It's kind of displaying the general feeling and attitude she goes at. But the umbrella is kind of protecting her a little bit from the cold and from the wet. And now we're running. And the wishing star. Don't want to know. The previews are always poison. I don't want to have they're just gonna spoil you. I mean, not that much this in this case, like, right, we only have a title and whatnot, but I rather have none of that. But yeah, it was a fun episode, wasn't it? really cool. Looking forward to the next. We might have a gig going on next episode. That should be exciting. And also very, very, very unsettling for Bocchi, I'm pretty sure. But we'll get there. We'll get her there. See how she's gonna be in episode 12 later on. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of mischief in the way, and a lot of along the way, and a lot of anxiety, a lot of insecurities, but we're gonna get there step by step. All right, time to talk about it, right? Let's boom, get the episode on the screen. And a beautiful shot that we start out with. Very, very cool. I don't quite know what we're looking at here, but yeah, we're just looking like some cool environment, which is really nice. One of these little door thingies where the door's where the door's closing on its own. And we're getting our first paycheck, and obviously that is, I mean, like, imagine how you feel, right? I mean, you don't have to imagine. All of you have been through that at some point. That you're having your first job and you're getting your first money, and you're like, okay, what am I gonna spend it on, right? And sometimes you may be spending a little bit too much money when you're starting to earn money, and you're like, ah, shit, I need to rein it in a little bit. But these things only come with like the rise of responsibilities that one has. It depends. If you're still living with your parents, or if you're started to live alone, or what kind of supports you have. Some people do have like scholarships or state support in terms of like studying and whatnot, or doing your whatever job you're gonna start. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. But reality kicks in, and we are almost starting with Zara. I was like, please. Please, the song, but no, we didn't get it. We got a really, really cool song later on. I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to show in the episode, but anyway. Really cool. The metaphor here, right? Money's chaining us all down. Which, yeah, I mean, you could make an argument, but I don't want to start talking about capitalism. Okay, that is a never-ending topic. But we do see all these little puns where Bocchi is retreating into her own shell due to having half a mental breakdown because of everything. And we're going into, yeah, we're gonna get... Bocchi, what are you doing? Get up from the fucking floor. Second jobs. And I do love when we go into this very weird art style, right? We have so many art style choices, and it's not just a specific art style, it's completely different here. We do have all of these scribbly lines that kind of perfectly show how she's absolutely out of her mind over having to possibly apply to another job, and she's like, oh, how do I get some money without having to do a job? Like, maybe if I sell my organs. Guitars, collateral, whatever, blah 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 blah. And we're listening to the song, we're like, hey, it's ready. And awesome things are happening, right? We always have like kind of these points of anxiety where she's, oh god, what am I gonna do? Please no. Because the beach, obviously the beach, is a place where there's a lot of fucking people. And you're like, holy shit, I can't deal with this many people, right? They're all gonna look at me. What are you gonna think about me? This is what's going on in her head. And absolutely, so for some of us, absolutely understandable. And it's very nerve-wracking in and on its own to start a new job, to learn new skills, right? Have new requirements, right? Have new interactions that are foreign to us and not familiar. And then to add to that her social anxiety that's going on there. The continuous, very, very questionable joke of Gita being way too much into Rio. And we're getting into the concert talk, and her sister is thinking here that, hey, I'm I'm not gonna just let you have an appearance. I want you to actually take this seriously and put some effort into it, right? And I think on the one hand, you could say she could have said it better. Obviously, she is a person who can't properly express her emotions like directly, especially if it's with people that she is close to, supposedly, at least from what we've been seeing so far. But her general attitude of, I'm not gonna let nepotism decide if you're gonna go in, like if you're able to have another show, is actually not a bad one, because imagine she would not be here, then they would have to actually apply to things and would probably be shut down over and over until they at some point maybe get a gig. But it's not wrong for her to be like, all right, I want you to be good enough to actually be here. First of all, she has a reputation to uphold in this venue, right? People are coming here because they feel they want to or can get some rather interesting underground, kind of amateurish but still good bands playing. So she does need to uphold that reputation. So she can't have them have concerts too often if they're bad. And on the other hand, also she wants them to experience, as she said later, personal growth. And that is very important, that you don't need to be super harsh, but you can be like, okay, I want you to give this your best shot, and I want you to be aware that even if in the back of her mind she's like, I'm gonna let them pass anyway, at the very least what she wants to see is that they expect maybe not to pass, right? Or expect that there's the possibility they don't pass, and give it their all as good as they, as much as they can, right? Practice for it, take it seriously. It will be also good mental preparation for any audition they will be doing outside of this specific venue later on, because these people are not going to be overly lenient with them, right? Nichika was really upset about that, which I absolutely understand, right? You have certain expectations and then they're kind of getting betrayed. And you do have this back and forth. And this is kind of where we come into the harshness, where she's a little bit too off-putting. Maybe also in a way as not to portray her motives, but also because she doesn't want to, right? She doesn't want to show that she's got a soft spot for her sister. So she's like, what should I care, right? And this is where we start with the misunderstandings and with the being mad at one another. But I'm glad that this wasn't a big thing, but more like that it was a motivator for Nichika to look at it as something very serious and actually take it seriously, because maybe, just maybe, we don't know Nichika as well yet, but just maybe she hasn't been taking it quite as seriously. Even if Bocchi has, even if Kita has, even if, I'm not sure about Rio. Rio's just cool as a cucumber, as we said before, but Bocchi and Kita certainly have taken it seriously, but for Nichika it's kind of like, maybe she was a little bit too laissez-faire with that. Yeah, and then we have a little bit of a silly argument here. And we're gonna go out and I again, super cool what they do with the art style here, where she's not sure what to do. Things are just getting out of hand and she's continuously getting less and less defined as a character, right? Literally, not metaphorically, but literally. Her entire like art style is changing into this doofy like scribble kind of thing. And it's great to get the feeling across, and it's very funny to look at. But well, wow, we talked to Bocchi, and because Bocchi is one who's like, right, she's gonna tell her, but she's not. Well, I mean, maybe she was the only one left. She didn't want to tell it to Nichika herself because she wanted to give her something to think about, right? And it's maybe also just a little bit of that tension between siblings that often the case. She's sulking. One thing I really love about this entire show is that, aside from Bocchi, we do have a lot of changing outfits, right? There's like a new outfit almost every episode, maybe even twice an episode, And that kind of keeps the viewer engaged, right? Because it creates new visual stimuli to actually focus on. And it makes the show not look too sameish all the time, which is really cool. Potential August bands, macaroni bands. What the fuck are these band names? Yukiguni with a tunnel, Inoue Brothers, Ryukushoku Yasai, okay. 𝐿𝐦𝐩𝐨𝐫𝐭𝐚𝐧𝐭, what? Alright, cool. Really neat. But she's losing it. What's that here? What's that? Oh, she's taking a shot. She's taking a fucking shot. Great. I also like how Ryu is doing like with like the shirt tucked in on the left side, but on the right side it's outside. This is so extra, but it perfectly fits, and it kind of really mirrors her bang on the one side and the like more orderly bang on the other side. We do have great color coordination too, red with black, and like a blue down below, really good. But she has terrible color coordination, by the way. Pink. Gotta work on that. She wants to record in advance to basically lip sync. Please don't turn it into a pipe shot. And I don't get all of the jokes because sometimes they're so rapid fire, but that's kind of part of the deal sometimes, right? You don't get everything. He just kind of asking herself why they think Bocchi is bad, and I was kind of asking maybe it's them that are the fault and it's actually Bocchi is really good, but we see that later on. We see that with I forgot her name, and Nichika's sister. What she's thinking in her head, it's not that, it's more like that, just what she's getting in her own way, right? She's her own lack of self-confidence, or her insecurities, they're getting the better of her and preventing her to be at peak performance, basically. And we do also see that going away when she gains that resolve to get over her fear and gains enough motivation to actually just be in the moment. And at that moment, I feel like this is the we'll jump to it in a second, because we'll like, this is kind of funny and whatnot. I do like this thing where she's like, where we stay a little bit too long in that ghost thing, right? She's creating the ghost, and right, her inner self that is having these thoughts, and then Kita says something from the outside, and both the ghost and her are like, what? And it's the same person again, but it didn't go back in. It's kind of a little bit, I don't know why it's funny, to be honest, but it is. And we're practicing hard, and the joke with like I think this is literally like Korean boy bands, right? Like all the bob cuts and the suits and whatnot. It seems very much a joke on that to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, I mean, possible that there's a Japanese scene that's similar to that. But Ryo has all the crazy ideas always, like all the stupid bullshit that they're doing. We're getting cuts on our fingers, right? The result of our efforts, more or less. But she's thinking hard about this. I don't think the same. That's the same thing as growing as a man. Okay, I've just enveloped past the water flea stage. Now stand the starting line of basic humanity. It's kind of really like her standards are this high, and she's putting herself this low, right? This is this dichotomy of like having way too high standards, but at the same time putting yourself way lower than you actually are, and then you create this incredible chasm that seems insurmountable, right? The problem is every little success that you have, you're not going to see that as a success, because you're starting your line, your basic line is way higher than your currently self-observed position is, and then you have to take all these 25,000 steps before you're even at the baseline of what normal or okay or whatever, right? The average person is supposed to be, and you want to get way beyond average. It's a real issue because I think even the small steps, the small things have to be rewarded. This is a whole thing in like educational psychology and raising people, right? When it comes to like or school, right, learning stuff, that people who like teachers and whatnot who are responsible for this, at this point they're approaching it or trying to approach it in many areas. It's again, our society is kind of fucked, but we're trying to approach it in many areas in a way that we're trying to find that we're trying to reward progress relative to where you started at, right? Because that is important. A child that is very talented in a specific thing, let's take math for example, for them to actually get a perfect grade or 100% on a test or something, it's going to be a lot less effort than for a person, or 80%. It's going to take a lot less effort than for a person who is not all that good at it to actually get to 80%. And sometimes you have to kind of take that into account, right? At the very least, in some way, shape, or form. Everybody does it a little bit differently. Every school system also does it differently. Some of them have like extra grades for like how your personal development is going, on how other aspects aside from test taking specifically goes, or maybe the tests on how you improved kind of gets calculated into that. And I think that's actually a really cool thing, because imagine you are not a good student, but you want to get there, right? And you make a real effort, and you're doing so much, right, relative to where you started out at, but you're still not getting good grades, right, or average grades in that sense. That's got to be devastating. At the same time, if you are getting rewarded piece by piece by just putting in effort and actually managing to get a lot better than you originally were, I think that motivates you a lot to actually continue doing that. And reward can be as little as just being praised for it, right? Being like, hey, I think what you're doing is really great relative to where you started out at. Yeah. Again, I still wonder why Bocchi turned out the way she is. Now, obviously, there's people who are more anxious by nature, right? There's definitely the general temperament of a person which goes into that. But obviously, also I feel like there has to be some kind of or a couple of events happening that kind of during your development that kind of leads you down that road of being so anxious and self-conscious about yourself. But what the hell do I know? I don't know it perfectly, right? I'm sure there's a big difference between people when it comes to actually the base nervousness, the base anxiety that we have. And it can be hard to get out of that, even if people are not necessarily bad or mean to you. But if people don't know how to reinforce your positive feelings and your positive behaviors, and they don't know that they're sometimes accidentally reinforcing your negative behaviors and negative thoughts and whatnot, then yeah, unlucky, right? It can happen, I suppose. But we're getting there. And we have a little heart-to-heart where Nichiga is actually going in and saying, hey, look, I'm sorry if I've put too much pressure on you, right? Maybe I haven't been asking enough. And maybe she's thinking back to Kita and how this whole thing played out, where she was already like, yeah, maybe we should have noticed sooner that you can't actually play the guitar. And in this case, it was different, right? But maybe we should ask more often what's going on inside here in my head. If you're okay with everything, if the pressure we're putting on is not too much, especially knowing who you are and what you're dealing with, right? Sometimes we get tunnel vision, right? And we get our dreams, our goals are getting in the way of us seeing that other people might be stressed or under pressure from that. And I think it's nice that she offered that talk and was like, here you go. I hope I'm not pressuring you too much. And even though maybe we haven't talked about it, right? We haven't like had a long conversation about anything, but she didn't open up all that much. At the very least, there was the offer, right? Which creates that mutual feeling of trust where or she maybe feels like she can share a little bit more of what's going on inside of her, what her dreams and goals are. And down the line, she might share that and be like, what I dream is very, very selfish. And then she's going to be proven otherwise because people are like, well, I'm the same, right? This is nothing unusual or something you should be judged for. And Ichika's also not telling her her dream, but she's saying, you know, she's kind of hinting at it. She's like saying it's bigger than what I said before, right? And she's like, there's so many ways you can express yourself these days, which is great, right? Our modern time where you can put yourself out there, your thoughts, your feelings, your talents, your hobbies, your desires, your passions. And that's a great thing, I think, because more and more people get exposure. Even if it's maybe not on the grand, right, scheme, like there's very few people who are getting as big as people like back in the 70s or 80s were getting. But at the same time, like, there's a couple of people who get really, really big, and they get bigger than anybody back in the day was getting, because there's more globalization going on, but also there's more competition. But on the other hand, right, we have all of these flip sides. Another flip side here is, hey, even if you're not like getting 10 million views, you're getting like 1,000, 10,000 people who are listening to you, to your music, to whatever you're putting out there, and they're actually being interested in that. And I think that is a great thing, because before all of this, before YouTube, the internet, whatever, maybe you played in a club and you had like 100 people cheering you on if you were lucky, right? Going around from like club to club, actually having some concerts or whatever. And that's still a cool thing, right? Because live, authentic, right? All of that, you earn money, right? Immediately, kind of, for the gig. But obviously there's this system of like, if not enough people come in, you have to kind of compensate for it. But either way, it's gonna, right? Both of them have their upsides and downsides, but it's great that the possibilities and the ways we can express ourselves is so much broader than it used to be. Are you a prodigy? Timber's so clean and polished. But you're cute too, just my imagination. Oh god. The internet is a scary place sometimes. Like, some people are weird, and anonymity is not helping, right? But it's cool to see all of these, right, messages being like, you're so talented and whatnot. And I think that contributed a lot for her, to her actually getting to the point where she was good enough and maybe brave enough to take the chance when she could take it, right? And be like, hey, I'm gonna just play with them, right? In episode 1 there. And yeah, we have our audition, and it all flows, right? It works out. We're all, this is like the definition of flow, right? We're all in the moment. We're all doing our best. Maybe it's a little bit stressful, but we're enjoying ourselves. We're losing ourselves in this music. And that is one of the great things about art, because, I mean, to quote, right, another anime that I've seen a long time ago, right, and it was a quote that stayed with me to this point, actually. It was, I think, a quote that was more impactful to me than any other element of this show, even though the show otherwise is great as well. And that is when the main character says to right, the other main character, kind of, your freedom itself, and then the other main character answers, no, music is freedom. And you can kind of project that onto other things, right? You can project that onto painting, drawing. You can project that onto making videos. You can project that onto poetry or whatever you want to put out, right? A work of art. Being able to express yourself is, I think, one of the freest things out there. One of the things that, where you could put yourself out there in the purest form possible. And this is always something that makes me emotional, because I think it is absolutely beautiful that we have these things, and that we can lose ourselves in that, right? And revel in the work we're doing. and I think it's very, very good for our minds as well. It's very good for our mental, and that we have these outlets, these passions, and finding something you're passionate about is one of the greatest things out there. Finding a way to express yourself in the way you want to express yourself, right? In a way that is kind of true to yourself and to who you are. Right, and we have this song about time passing, right? About different experiences, right? Snippets of experiences, suffocation from information, vertigo, disorientation, right? The senses being so extreme, and then it's just like, I can hear myself breathing so loud. And this is the moment we choose in the show to actually have her go into her moment. And her, this is the coolest, one of the coolest pieces of animation. Putting your foot down and kind of shoving it out of frame, right? Taking up a bigger space, kind of metaphorically, right? Breaking out of yourself. And it's great to see. We see the tempo really picking up, and we see everybody in the room noticing that. Who am I supposed to show just who I am to? Yeah, I mean, this is not a depressive lyric, right? What was he going on about? I mean, obviously we're singing about all of these things, right? Pressure, suffocation, right? Disorientation, I said that before, but we're also singing about overcoming them, right? Breaking out of them, the experience it creates when this friction starts to happen. And through this friction, the spark starts to spring forth, right? That's gonna develop into a flame at some point, if you want to be lyrical about it. I don't have to go through everything. A very fun joke about like the real life pictures like you would see on broadcast TV. And Bocchi misunderstanding her. Okay, I'm saying it probably in every like show I'm reacting to, but communication, please communicate clearly. Make your intent known. Don't think that the person opposite of you has the same knowledge base that you have, and assume you can just put out two words, right? Two vaguely phrased words, and think that the other person will think the exact thing and understand the exact intent that you have with the words you put out, because it's not the case. Especially with people who are super anxious and thinking about what other people would be thinking. Yes, there is the possibility that what you meant, right, is exactly what you meant, but there's also 1,000 other possibilities. And a person who is anxious by nature, who is very nervous and very down on themselves, will automatically have that bias to go to the negative interpretation of whatever you're saying. And that is the problem here, right? We don't need to get more into it. This is the problem here. Speak clearly. But yeah, she's embarrassed about it, obviously. We see it in that conversation. She's like, shut up, I'm gonna fire you. She doesn't mean it, right? But, oh yeah, this shot is really cool. I mean, it's cool because it looks like some crappy VR chat computer animation. And I'm like, this is perfect. This is perfect. And I love how they're playing with the art style and everything. And now it's an LSD trip. Yeah, I mean, caught in the spiral once again. Yeah, that's about it. That was Bocchi the Rock episode 5. Nice episode once again. A lot of funny elements, but this show shows once again how it can not just be funny, but also very creative and very serious if it wants to be. And not serious in a negative, dreary way, but serious in a heartfelt and in a very deep, heartfelt way. And how it can create these moments of awe, right? These moments of connection, like music does. and you can feel the passion that goes into the project, right? You can feel the passion that went into creating this episode and all the other ones, at least so far. I don't think it's gonna change. Yeah, another episode. I hope I'll see you next week. If you like this video, please leave me a like. I would very much appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Check out the Discord and the Patreon. That's something for you. There's early access on there. Check out what that is about and the specifics on that. Other than that, I hope I'll be seeing you again. Leave a comment. I have very few comments. I always love when I get a comment and can just kind of interact with people. And even if I don't put a comment underneath, generally I'm trying to like most comments, because most comments I've been getting so far were really nice, heartfelt comments, very thoughtful comments oftentimes. And I really love to read them in my free time, or when I'm at work and don't have anything to do, right? My break. Yeah. Engage if you want to, All right. No pressure. See you next time.